All right. Hey y'all. We're back again. I don't know why I said we. It's just me. Well, me, myself, and I. We. Nah, it's okay. But let's get straight into it. So today I wanted to start off kind of on a. I wanted to start off kind of light as far as story time. Um, and I don't even know if I'm gonna end up calling it like rabbit hole time because I love going down rabbit holes and I would love to kind of take some of you with me in a good way. Of course, there's nothing wrong with going down those rabbit holes and searching for information and looking at things with different perspectives. Um, so I actually want to start off honestly with Harry Potter, right? I'm a I'm a tidbit of a Harry Potter fan. I won't say I'm a big, huge Harry Potter fan, but I am a fan. Uh, when we were younger, me and my family members, my little cousins, when we were younger, I think they read the books. I'm sure because they knew about Harry Potter before I did, I believe. Because I didn't know about it until my cousin brought the first Harry Potter movie over to our house and we watched it. And I've just been kind of sort of hooked ever since. I kind of like, first of all, anything that has anything to do with like magic, as far as like TV shows and movies, for the most part, I'm kind of into them. So I found Harry Potter, kind of cute and entertaining. The thing about Harry Potter, though, right, is so many like different ways to look at it. It's like I don't know, like you really can use your imagination. And that was one of the things that I still appreciated about it. Is because like I don't know, it's not like corny to me. I feel like it's still for adults too in a way. And it's like we did grow with the movies as well, which is also very cute. Uh, but I and forgive me if this is if this is weird or if it doesn't seem right, but I kind of like the fact that Harry Potter also has like a dark side to it. Not condoning like any true hidden like ohs that it may have, because I can't say that I've actually seen. Because some movies do have like hidden meanings or has hidden messages or things like that that they do try to what's the word I'm trying to say? Well, try to convince children of certain things, and and it seems lovely, but sometimes it's not. I don't really necessarily feel that way when it comes to the movie. Um, but I know that you see some people also make like content saying that there was like this darker side that children shouldn't like indulge in. I didn't necessarily see it myself. I'm not saying that it's not there though. I just want to point that out. Um, because I don't condone anything like that, especially when it comes to children. I'm just saying for me personally, I haven't noticed that yet, or I'm not, you know. But moving on. So as far as and for anyone who hasn't seen the movies and you're just you may be interested and you may not want to listen to this because I'm gonna be kind of talking in details. Spoiler alert, I guess. But anywho, now when it comes to the movies, I just like I don't know, like it's just something. It has like this realism to it, if you ask me, because you have like the Muggle, if I'm saying that right. You have the Muggle world in the movies, right? And those are like the non-magical people, or the world that is blind to magic, or that magic even exists, right? And that's where it gets kind of like ew. So pretty much, okay. So Harry Potter is a little boy who has magical powers, but he wasn't made aware of them, right? Because when he was a baby, his parents, who both were had magical powers, witches, or I don't know I think they were like wizards on the movie. Sheesh, but yeah, they're like witches and wizards and whatever you want to call them, sorcerers and things like that, right? And so his parents, they were both, they went to Hogwarts, which is the magical school, and they were like pretty much fighting this long time battle with what's his name, Lord Voldemort, if I'm saying that right. But he was, what do you call those? I think you call those the antagonists. I think that's a playful word, antagonist. But yeah, so he was the bad guy. He's pretty much supposed to be like the bad guy. And I'm the type of person though, when I see like movies and it's like that hero villain dynamic, I always look at both sides. And I think I'm also gonna do an episode of that too, like heroes versus villains. That might be kind of cool. Cause I'm low key a nerd, bro. I don't know. I might be high key a nerd. I don't know, or somewhere in the middle. I don't know, but yeah, I'm a little nerdy. But yeah, but I always tend to look at both sides, right? And sometimes I be on the villain side. Like when you really think about it, sometimes the villain isn't necessarily wrong, maybe violent, and I don't condone violence. But it's like you end up understanding them a little bit better when you see like an origin story or you hear their background. But anywho, so now as far as Voldemort was concerned, and I don't want to skip all over the place. Well, let me go back. Okay, so Harry Potter, the little boy. Now, his parents were pretty much with other people who, consider themselves to be, it's like, bad guys versus the good guys. And like Lord Voldemort was like the most evil person or whatever in the movie. And it was like a constant just battle with him. And what happened was they got into a fight, right? And and I'm keeping it kind of cut dry because I don't really remember. Like, first of all, let me tell you, these movies are old. Okay, most of them are old. They don't even do Harry Potter anymore. They have like what you would call, I don't know, like the spinoff with the Fantastic Beasts, which I love those ones. But anywho, so forgive me for the lack of detail, and I know it's probably like some real Harry Potter fans that probably chew me up and spit me out, but anywho, so they were fighting, and Voldemort killed both of Harry's parents, right? And he also attempted to kill Harry, but he ended up just leaving like a scar on his forehead that looked like a lightning bolt, the famous scar, and he ended up living, and he ended up being the boy who lived, and now that alone, because I'm gonna look at both sides. I'm gonna explore different perspectives here. Shout out to you, Mel, and you know why I'm shouting out to you. I'm not gonna go into details, but shout out to you, sis. But I'm looking at different perspectives, So on one end, it's like okay, because it's like the beginning of the movie. He gets attacked. You don't really know who. Is that at the beginning of the movie? Did they show us that part? I don't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it, which would be that'd be fun having a little Harry Potter marathon. Yeah, but anyway, so he ended up being the boy who lives. So they end up, and I'm saying they because in the movie they don't get to that part until like further down the line. But he ends up being placed with his aunt, his mother's sister, and she was, oh my goodness, her husband, and their son is around the same age as Harry. Well, they treated Harry like what's the term we used to use back in the day, redheaded stepchild. Like, they treated him awful. Like, they had him living in a tiny, tiny, tiny little cupboard, like little closet that was like under the stairs. Because this is in, forgive me, I don't know I can't remember the location. It's like in England or something like that. I think it was like in England. But they had like the little cabinet. It was like built into like the bottom of the staircase, or built into like the staircase. And so like when his little cousin used to come downstairs, I think that was one of the most things that like stuck out with me, because I'm one of those people, I love my sleep. Harry would be in there asleep in his tiny little room, and his cousin, who was also like kind of heavy set, he had a little weight on him. When when his mom would call for dinner, or just have him come downstairs, or if he just came downstairs, he would like come down, he would jump like on the stairs, and it's like it would disturb Harry, and he would have like, I think he had like plaster fall down or something like that. Either way it go, it was just he did things intentionally to disturb this poor boy, and his parents let him do it. Like they couldn't stand Harry either. And it's like the mother, she always hated the sister. And further down the line, they revealed that the aunt hated the sister because the sister had magical powers and she didn't. So she was a muggle and she had to stay in the muggle, non-magical world. But she had to watch her sister go off to Hogwarts. And she hated her for it, and it was so unfair. And it's like, I get her anger, because I'm not going to lie, bro. Especially like after the movie came out, if my cousins got invited and I didn't, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I was built for this, bro. But I wouldn't hate them. I wouldn't be mad at them. Like I would just work on myself, honestly, and try to get my game up and try to figure out how to get one of those invitations to get me an owl or whatever the case may be. But anywho, that's just me. Okay, so moving forward. So Harry, sweet little boy, he didn't let any of that phase him. He wasn't the type that tried to, get revenge or anything. He didn't say anything. He still seemed like happy go lucky, even though they treated him so badly. As far as he knew, he was just an orphan that was living with his aunt. You know how that goes. Like you know, it wasn't nothing else he could do. He didn't have any more family. So moving forward, so Harry ends up going on a field trip, right? And he ends up talking to a snake or understanding what the snake was saying. And his cousin, I think it was his cousin, or it was a little, I know he was being bullied, and in the midst of it, he was pushed down or something like that, and he ended up making the glass disappear, and the snake ended up getting out, and the snake ended up telling him thank you. And he was just baffled, like what just happened. He scared whoever was bullying him. I think it was his cousin. He scared them or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, what was that?" Right? So he did have, magical powers, and at that point, he probably, of course, he still didn't really know what was going on. Anywho, fast forward. So the aunt, of course, she knows what's going on. So they interned. I think. Oh my goodness, how did it go? I'm sorry. I just know that they ended up he ends up having, he was supposed to come to Hogwarts or whatever the case may be, because he was at that age now where he could, do his first year. And so I don't remember if it was because he used magic or it was just the timing. It was just a coincidence, or his magic came in around that time or whatever. Anywho, they end up sending for him. And they end up coming for him or whatever. Now, when they came for him, they didn't know that he didn't know. That he had no idea. He wasn't aware of his magical abilities. He wasn't aware of the magical world and things like that. And they thought that was like blasphemy. Like, how did they not tell you? But anywho, so they didn't want him to go. She didn't want him to go to Hogwarts, his aunt. They end up coming for him anyway. Like, that was like, whatever. Anywho, so they ended up coming for him, and they take him to like the magical side of the world, and he ended up going to Hogwarts, and they ended up explaining certain things to him, this, that, and the third. And then he meets like Dumbledore, who is the most special person out of the whole. Honestly, I feel like the movie should be called Dumbledore. Like, honestly, all in all, to me, for me, I feel like it began and ended with him. Dumbledore was, oh man, if I would have had a professor like that, I would have loved, if I would have had a school like that, I would have loved to go to Hogwarts. But anywho, so, but the thing is, now I'm going to take it back, right, real quick. So, Voldemort, like, it's certain things. It's like when you see movies, and I think that things go so fast, and it's like, or you're just so engulfed in like the awe of certain things or the entertainment that we miss key things, right? And that's why I wanted to like bring it up, because I'm a fan, but I still also see certain things too. Like, you're a grown man. Baltimore, and mind you, there's no telling how old he was. He was grown, and he attempted to kill a baby, and it was like, we missed that. Like, like that part kind of went over our heads, and he was mad. Like, pretty much the beef between him and Harry was that whoever he set out or sought out to kill or destroy, or whomever got in his way, that he decided to get out of his way. And he didn't care. His team didn't care either. They didn't kill anybody. It's like they were so ruthless, and it's like we kind of sort of missed it, because it's like every movie, you need a bad guy, good guy for some odd reason. we fail to realize that he was upset and he had a grudge against a child because the child made it. Because, mind you, fast forward into a few movies later, we all figure out what's going on. So the whole thing, I might as well just put all of them together because if I go movie by movie, that's not gonna work out because they're long and they're very detailed, and I don't want to go into details because you have to be a super Harry Potter fan for that, and they'll take a lot of episodes. But anywho, um, all in all, like he is beefing with this child, but only really mainly because everybody was like, "Oh, he lived, he survived. No one survives." Like, so maybe Voldemort is not big as bad as you think it is. But the thing is, they fought against him for a very long time. Like, it didn't matter, but he let that get to him. He held that grudge and he hated that boy. And Harry ended up like they made him seem special. Don't get me wrong, it's not that he wasn't special. The crazy thing about it is the only reason he was special is because Voldemort made him that way. That's the twist to it. Like he ended up making him special. Like he always tried to. It was personal for him, and they knew that they had to protect Harry. Now further on, okay, so I'm gonna have to break this part down. So they had these things called Horcruxes, right? And not well, they would yeah. Voldemort had Horcruxes, and it was like he found a way to put pieces of his like soul or himself into different like items, and he hid these different items. So it's like that's how he pretty much kept coming back, right? For the most part, and so they had to destroy all the Horcruxes in order to destroy him. Well, come to find out that when he attacked Harry's mother, before she got killed, because the father, he was fighting with him, and then in the midst of that, she went to go protect Harry, and she ended up putting, like, she did a spell to protect him, and then Voldemort entered the room, killed her, and then went to kill Harry, but not knowing that she did some type of protection spell or something like that, which ended up pretty much helping Voldemort, like, create a Horcrux without him even knowing it. Like, he ended up, like, his essence, a piece of himself ended up going bouncing or something like that. Some reflect or whatever magical way they did it. They set it up. He pretty much unintentionally created another Horcrux, and Harry was one of them. So it's like once they found and destroyed all these other Horcruxes or whatever, so that they could finally, because they destroyed his physical body plenty of times, and his essence kept coming back, of course, because of this. But Harry was the last one. He didn't know this though. Like, honestly, Dumbledore knew this. Dumbledore knew this. That man was intelligent. And which brings me back to another thing we didn't notice. That Harry was bait. Harry was bait. He to a certain degree, it's like, don't get me wrong, Dumbledore made sure he was safe. They had certain things set in place. They had certain plans. And mind you, he pretty much, I would say, let's say Harry was 10 years old, I think, because it was pretty much like the beginning of like Hogwarts school for him, and then he graduated Hogwarts, and I think he still was fighting this man after that or something like that. So let's say this went on for about 8-10 years, and we don't put that together either. Like, it was a long time. Can you imagine that you're in elementary school fighting a grown man? Fighting a grown, and I hope that doesn't trigger anyone, because I don't mean like abuse. I mean, like, as far as the way they set it up in the movie, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't look at it that way. Like, this is pretty much a child that went from elementary school, you might as well say, all the way up into high school, almost college, fighting this grown man. And not just him though, it was everyone. And the thing, that's another thing, like, children died at this school. So that's why I say some of these videos that say that there was a dark side, it kind of is. And it's like we let it go over our heads. We let it go over our heads. Like, it was a ghost of a young girl, right? And because Harry pretty much had to go through these different stages. It was pretty much like figuring out a puzzle. So he had to go through certain challenges and things like that. And so I think was the Chamber of Secrets, if I'm not mistaken. But he was in a bathtub, in his birthday suit, no clothes on, right? And he had to like open this magical, like this little golden egg thing or something. I don't know. Anywho, in the movie though, the ghost girl, her name was like Madeline Myrtle or something like that. She was kind of annoying, but she was still a child. She was dead, bro. She was dead, bro. And it didn't creep me out until I thought about it later on. Like, kids really got killed at the school. Like, children die. Like, children not supposed to be dying at school, bro. And it was like, there was like, first of all, the ending, like the last bit, the last like 2 movies of Harry Potter, they went to war. That was just it. Like, at the end of it all, Voldemort came back fully. He managed to come back fully powered and everything like that. But it's like, all in all, the only message I was like really looking at was like from the picture that they were trying to paint, right? I saw that firsthand off the bat. Pretty much Voldemort, if he would have just left it alone, he would have won, because by killing Harry, he ended up killing his damn self. If he would have just let the grudge go, don't get me wrong, he would have lost anyway because Dumbledore wasn't having it. But all in all, I don't know, he might have would have made it, or made it a little longer, if he would have just let it go and just would have figured out. Because Harry technically wasn't that special. He should have tried to recruit Harry, or just keep Harry locked away some way himself. He should have just tried to capture that boy and whatever. And that doesn't sound right as far as in our world, but I'm just saying in the movie. I'm saying movie wise. And as far as like just letting a grudge go, he should let the grudge go. He would have been better off. But anyway, back to the actual like whole thing I'm trying to set up here is the fact that I'm still kind of a fan, even though I get like it does have that little kind of like a it's hard to say, like, because I don't know if that part is intentional. And if it is intentional, that's why I need help trying to figure that part out. Like, I need to talk to some friends, but I don't know too many like people like myself who would look at it differently that could help me with that perspective. So I don't know, maybe you guys, maybe the audience. And I'm gonna have to make sure, that's another thing, I have to make sure I check all the platforms, because I do have this podcast on many platforms, and I only seem to check like 1 or 2 as far as comments, and I apologize for that. If you're listening and you feel like I haven't answered, I apologize. I tend to forget, and it's a lot of login and passwords. I have so many different like platforms that this is on, so I do apologize for that. But please still help me. Please still help me. And I'm gonna check. I promise I'm gonna put forth more effort to check these things out. But I need help interpreting that, because I'm not too sure if, because I'm like, if they have a deeper meaning to showing us that, then I'm going to have different emotions. Of course, I'm going to have different feelings and emotions about the series itself. But a lot of kids died. Like, the last 2 movies, I wouldn't say butcher, because they use some magic and wand. They killed a lot of students. And that's the thing that I failed to realize until later. Oh, excuse me. Like, they were at a school. This wasn't in town somewhere where they got into this fight. Like, they were killing students, and there were only a few teachers. Now, mind you, the teachers were battling too, of course. But come on now. Let's all of us that's ever been to school, let's just put on our thinking caps. You remember that? I don't know if you ever heard. I remember that from elementary school. Just put on your thinking cap, bro. When you go to school, of course, the students outnumber the staff. That's just automatic, right? So just think about that. If you're going to this school and you're going to fight, right? Man, yeah. And don't get me wrong, they had like volunteers and this, that, and the third. But bro, it was mostly kids. Let's not sugarcoat. It was mostly children, and they were dropping them left and right. And that's not funny. I'm sorry. Oh, I laugh at things sometimes I shouldn't laugh at. I'm sorry. But I'm saying, as far as just the way I said it, I'm laughing at the way I said it. But I'm sorry. Okay. But the children were dying left and right. Okay. And we're just sitting there just trying to figure out, oh, who's going to win? Oh, that's so sad. Some people probably even cried. Like, I remember one of the first major blows was when they were doing like this Olympic game, right? And they had other schools. I didn't even know they had other magical schools. Come to find out, it was different locations with other magical people, other magical schools. Of course, makes sense. But the way they built it up, it felt like Hogwarts was the only magical school, and everybody wanted to go to Hogwarts. Come to find out, there were schools everywhere. So teachers and students, they came like on a field trip to Hogwarts, doing like the magical Olympic games, right? Which is cute. But during the game, there was a part where they like hexed the championship cup or whatever, and it's like you had to touch the cup and they'll warp you to like the finish line or whatever the case may be. And I remember it was Robert Pattinson. It was a Pattinson. I'm a Twilight fan as well. Shout out to you, Robert. But his character, okay, I think he's a sweet guy. I don't know. I never met him. I don't like saying that people are like sweet and I never met them, but his energy seems nice. I don't know from what we see, what we can see, what we're available to see, because of course I never met him. But anywho, but his character died, and Harry broke down, and it was like the cup warped him and the boy's dead body, back to where everybody was waiting to see who had the cup, right? And it was so weird, like, and it was like everybody was, people were sad. It was like, but it took them a moment, even like in the movie itself, it took them a moment to realize what was going on, like, oh, this boy is gone, because like Harry was just like crying, and he was kind of like hysterical, whatever the case may be, if I'm remembering it right. But it was, of course it was dramatic because the character died, and it was just like in front of everybody. And I was like, oh no. And I'm sad. It's a movie. And then, it goes on to the next part. And, that's another thing, too, with these movies. We have to be careful with how we let them control our emotions as well. Because you ever seen a movie that have, like, the sad part and then it has, like, this nice part after or a funny part after? And it's like your emotions, you're on an emotional roller coaster if you really think about it. Because it's like, when you're watching these movies, you're just waiting to see how they're going to win. Are they going to win? You like they got to win. The good guy always wins. But sometimes, of course, they end with the bad guy having the upper hand, right? And so you wait for the next movie to come out, not thinking about none of the details. It's just, you pretty much it's cut and dry because it's a movie. It's only 2 hours long, right? You go back home to your daily life. But it's like, how much of that energy are we really taking with us, though? And it's like, certain things seems so small, and it's like we don't really take it in. And so that's why I'm like, I wanted to really look at it from a smarter perspective, if that makes sense. Like, because I don't want to be bamboozled either, because we're not all hip to everything. You don't know everything. It's you don't see everything at first, and it's like, I'm saying this is like, I see two sides to it, but it's like, because I wouldn't want to be a creator, because I also write, right? So you have your good guy, bad guy, you have this, that, you have your plot. So I just wouldn't want anyone to think that, like, if I wrote something a certain way, or they say I write a book and they turn it into a movie, and I wouldn't want someone to read too much into it. Like, I have a certain way that I write. I have a certain, only because of the things that I've lived. So therefore, I won't, because of certain things I've been through, I wouldn't have certain things happen to children in my stories or in my movie. I wouldn't let them get my material and decide, oh, it'll be better if we make the character younger. Does that? No, it's not happening. Like, I'm just saying it without saying it right now. Like, it's just certain ways I wouldn't go about it, only because of my experiences. Not everyone has, that. So it's like, some people are innocent when they write things or create things, and some things are just for entertainment. Some things aren't, though. Some things are, they have underlying meanings, and they're trying to push certain things on you or certain energies on you. So I don't know. It's like, I don't know if it's just because it's like the movies are based around this, right? And it makes sense if it's harmless. I can see it being harmless. Is why I still kind of sort of like it. I hope it's not that way, but all in all, if we find out later on that it is, and I'll be like, dang, that kind of sucks. That kind of sucks, because it's like I kind of see it. I kind of see they could go that way. but at the same time, I'm just not sure because it's like if you're fighting, like it also makes sense for him to like get rid of the competition at the same time, and then because it's like the thing is like Voldemort wanted to take over everything, and he wanted to blend like pretty much make the Muggles bow down to the ones who had magic. It's like they because they were pretty much in hiding. Like anyone who had magical powers, they were in hiding. And when you look at like Fantastic Beasts, the way that the bad guys like their agenda, sometimes when you think about their agenda, it you can somewhat agree with like, okay, why do we have to hide? Like when you look at it that way, like because with me and my the way I feel about certain things, the way I feel about what we would call magic, I wouldn't want to have like that's the whole mostly the point of my podcast, not just being myself and not hiding that part of myself. And it's like you shouldn't have to. So, but that's another thing though. Like don't have something I can compare myself to in order to trap me in your little game, in your little web, and trying to push these energies on me. Like don't try to sympathize with me to try to trick me either. So it's like I don't know, and I didn't read the books, so I can't compare those either. Because people say that the books are different, and that they're also better too, and they're more detailed. And of course, they change stuff all the time to, to shrink it down to whatever, however long the movie is. And they change certain details, they change certain characters. So yeah, I get that too. So I can't compare it to the actual books. But the thing for me is that just think about me, for example. I've been a little fan for quite some time, myself. So it's like, how long, if that is the case, how long has these energies been fooling me? And I'm still watching them, So it's like, I don't know. I mean, from looking at it from both standpoints, it's kind of shaky. It's kind of shaky. On one end, it's like, it's just a regular, it's entertaining. And it's some things in it I feel are truthful too. I feel like some stuff, makes sense in our world. And I think like when it comes like to movies like Harry Potter, when it comes to like Guardians of the Galaxy or Star Wars, like things like that we tend to believe is just someone's imagination. I don't know. I mean, of course we all, I have a great imagination as well. I create things that I've never seen or heard of. And I just feel like, to me personally, I feel like there's a possibility that we're all connected to, like, let's say there's one Wi-Fi router in the entire world, and I feel like we're all connected to that Wi-Fi router. Like, for an example, right? And if we all getting ideas and things from that, or are we all getting ideas from things that actually exist or we actually experienced at one point? Because I don't feel like, personally, I don't know, I'm not gonna say, I won't say too much. So some things, when that throat chakra starts to, I think it's like, yeah, you saying a little too much. Yes, I'm gonna tone it down a little bit, but cause that goes into a whole nother explanation and category. That's a whole nother story. But I don't know. I just feel like some of these things aren't as far-fetched as we think they are. Or as make-believe as we think they are. Because in the movies, they use magic. Like, because they go to the Muggle world. They do things in the city. Like, Fantastic Beasts is more so around the population. Like, it's not necessarily just everything going on in the magic world. And that's also another thing, Johnny Depp's character in that movie. And also it wasn't just Johnny Depp. I just don't know the other guy's name that played the same character, and I don't remember the bad guy's name in Fantastic Beasts. But they pretty much, all in all, they just want to blend worlds, let the Muggles know that they exist and that they're taking over. And it's like because they feel that way. They feel like we're powerful, we're more powerful than them. Why are we scared of them? Why are we hiding from them? Because I think all like the whole entire thing. They were trying to say like they did know at one point, and they like banded against them, and it was like war and trouble, and it was just easier to just hide or whatever, or pretend that they didn't have powers. And I get that as far as not wanting to hide, but because ignorant people or other people couldn't accept them or whatever the case may be. And it's like, but at the same time, though, from the mogul's point of view, for you, say for example, you're in line with someone, they bump into you, and you say something like, "Hey, you just bumped into me," and they decide to turn you into a frog for saying something to them. Now that will create a fear, but every group has good and bad people. I don't care who you are, where you're from, what's going on. Everybody has good and bad people, and I don't even really like to use the term good, bad. Really, I just use it because that's just what we've all learned to like identify with. Because you have good people that make bad decisions, you have bad people that do good things, make good decisions. Like, of course, we have people that are just downright what we would consider bad, right? I get that, but it's like at the same time, they're going to explain certain things and why you probably would turn someone into a frog, or so it depends. I guess it's a case by case thing, but that would create fear, of course, and I get that part too. So it's just difficult. It's difficult. It's like you can't choose sides really, because it's really case by case basis. It's like you have moguls like Fantastic Beasts, even in Harry Potter, even in the regular movies that they came out with. They, in the whole entire series, they had moguls who did understand. They had moguls who still fell in love with witches or warlocks and had or wizards. I don't know if they had warlocks or whatever you call it. You get what I'm saying. But they had people who fell in love with non-magical people and magical people. So it was like, and they had a name for, what was the name for, mud blood or something like that. And it was like some people used that as like a derogatory term or something like that towards people who had mixed. Then you have you had some people who came from two non-magical parents. I think they called them mudbloods as well, because you have you have two parents that don't have no magic at all, but their child does, and they end up getting invited, and they end up going to, because I think Hermione's parents was like that. And the thing was, it was like they didn't find it scary. They didn't think that she was this, that, or the third. It was like, and so it was, I understood what Dumbledore was trying to do there. It was like, everyone's not like that, so you can't just go to the muggle world and just make everybody slaves. So it just makes you wonder. I mean, it's fascinating though to look at all of these things. To be honest, I'm glad to have an open mind too. It's fun having an open mind. It's a whole lot more fun being open-minded than closed-minded, or to be just set with my own opinion. Because the only thing I can give you is my opinion from my perspective. I can try to look at it from different angles. And sometimes you don't see certain things until someone else introduces, certain things to you or certain details to you. So, but I didn't want to just be one way with it. And Mel, shout out to you again, because you really pointed that out to me too, and I appreciate that. You helped point that out to me. So I don't know. It's just, all in all, when you think about it, it's like, it's very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, that rabbit hole. But if you have a little time in your hands, you can actually look it up. You don't actually need to necessarily look at the movies. It's so detailed though that you might want to, but you can, at the end of the day, you can just look on Harry Potter. And this is the thing. The reason why I like going down these rabbit holes, because it always, regardless of how you look at it, like I said, even if it doesn't have that little dark side, if that particular thing wasn't intentional, it overall did have, to me, the message to me was let it go, don't hold grudges. That's what I took from it. So I mean, some people can just watch something and it's just fake and it is what it is, and they don't interpret anything from it, and they don't, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's plenty of material out there that's just that. It has no lessons in it. It's just boom, explosion here, shooting person here, and it's like, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with just being, having a little entertainment. But I do like to watch things where I can go down the rabbit hole. I prefer that. I prefer being able to look at things like, oh, what do you really mean with that? Wait a minute. And honestly, you'll be surprised. You'll look at these images, right? Because there are a bunch of images collapsed together. You look at these images, and they have like little symbols. Like it'll be two characters talking. This is just anything. Harry Potter too, but certain movies like they have certain symbols, right? And it'll be like two characters talk. Let's say there's a movie about a lawyer who falls in love with a waitress, right? Um, and the lawyer is sitting there talking to his best friend about the waitress, and behind them, in the middle of the clock, is like some symbol or something. It's like you miss it until someone does like a YouTube video on it or something. Come to find out, that symbol means this, that, or the third. Like, or it's a little statue on their desk. And it's like, my thing is, it has absolutely no meaning to the person who hasn't experienced this or did any research or seen anything like it. It's like, what's really going on? And it's just a simple movie about a man in love with a waitress. And it's a little love story. How she feel like she's not good enough, and he feels this, that, and third. You know, it's just a little story, right? It's just a little tiny little love romance story. But it's like, what was that on that clock though? What was that on that desk though? And what was the point of that? And it completely changes the movie. Once you start going down rabbit holes and looking stuff up, it completely changes the whole entire thing. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. And then, but see, another thing though is research. Because sometimes you can be reaching. Sometimes you're reaching. Sometimes you take things and you blow it out of proportion. Sometimes we do that. Like I've had moments where I've spent hours, like literally hours, on one particular little detail, and you have to be careful because you end up fooling yourself sometimes. Because sometimes when you're doing so much research though, you end up kind of like going off course, because you actually end up, you need a notepad, you need to write stuff down, because you end up going off, you end up discovering 3,000 other things, and then you end up having to research them separately. Like, so I would say go with the flow though. Go with the flow. Don't think too hard. Don't look too hard, but don't be naive either. You know. And so I kind of I just wanted to do something kind of cute, kind of fun to start off as far as like story time. I think I'm gonna call it rabbit time though. Like I don't think. What y'all think? I don't think rabbit time. I don't know. Does that sound right? Rabbit time? That sounds good. Rabbit hole time? Maybe rabbit hole time. Because I like going down rabbit holes. Well, I'm like, you should just look at certain things like this, and it doesn't have to be Harry Potter. It was just, I just chose that because I ain't gonna lie, I played the game. So I was playing the game yesterday. I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna do story time on this one. So let me see, story time, rabbit hole time. I think I'm gonna call it rabbit hole time. Yeah, let's do that. So rabbit hole time. If it's not that, just take one of your favorite movies. If you never know, because if you think about it, you're like, you know what, maybe let me just go and sometimes I'm like, ooh, I got another one, real quick. The Matrix. I mean, we all, anybody that's on that path or on a particular little, like rabbit hole. I think that's one of the most popular rabbit holes to go down is with the Matrix. Movies. And also I seen a video where I believe it was the writer or the creator of the Matrix. I think she said that she also did Terminator, if I'm not. And I could be wrong. You would have to look that up because I'm not 100% sure. I seen like a little snippet, and I'm not 100% sure because it was only 60 seconds. But I think she said that. I think she said Terminator is also part of that, and it was like Terminator is also, I think, the main character. I forgot his name. John Connor. I think he's also supposed to be like Neo, but it's like past future type of thing. I can't remember. But anywho, so yeah, like the Matrix, perfect rabbit hole to go down. I ended up looking up like all of the characters' names and the meanings of their names, and that rabbit hole had me up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not even gonna front. And that's just another little example. I'm just saying, people, just do research. Have fun with it though. It's not that serious. It's just to help you, help better you, help, raise your energy, your vibration, so you know what to stay away from, what to indulge in. And let me know let me know what you think. Yeah, that's all I got. And I love you guys because I have no reason not to. Enjoy the rest of your day.